Well, a few years ago, back before humor was banned, people used to make jokes about the WNBA. We're not going to do that tonight, mostly because, as we said, it's no longer allowed, and we don't want to face the consequences. But instead, we'd like to congratulate the league for finally taking the lead in something in the ongoing infection of professional sports by silly political fads. On Tuesday night, the Seattle Storm engaged in a special promotion in solidarity with Planned Parenthood, the country's largest abortion chain. Every fan in attendance received pink signs and bandanas to pink out the arena. $5 from every ticket was donated to Planned Parenthood, which, by the way, already consumes $500 million of your tax money every year. The promotion was a huge hit. The team managed to sell out 49% of the arena. Storm player Sammy Whitcomb said the promotion was important because, quote, all women and girls deserve to feel respected. True, of course, those who are born anyway. Speaking of Planned Parenthood, Republicans in Congress still haven't defunded that group, despite repeatedly promising to do so back when Obama was president, maybe several hundred times. Back then, the GOP said they would, but they haven't kept their promise to rebuild the wall either. So, is another broken promise really surprising? That's the question Steve King of Iowa has asked himself. He has proposed this: take away Planned Parenthood's funding and use it to build a border wall, a combination designed to offend progressives. Does he mean it? He joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
So
Tucker.
this is like a fever dream in Santa Monica. You're going to take away the Planned Parenthood federal subsidy and use it to build a border wall.
Well, you know, it's a simple solution to a complex problem. And sometimes people will say 2 birds with 1 stone. It's about that. It might actually be the whole flock with 1 rock if we could do this.
Do you have security?
Well, I don't want to answer that question for fear someone will figure out how to crack my security. So I feel pretty safe around this town.
So what kind of response has this idea received?
Well, there's been a lot of pushback from the liberals, and I know that our leadership will often make a comment about, is there any kind of a Twitter storm surrounding you today? But I think it's important for us to...
Wait, so Republican leadership's not embracing this idea?
They didn't embrace it right away, but, you know, they're a little slow to come to these new ideas.
Kind of weird, though, since I remember, at least a year ago, the leadership was saying, we want to build a wall and we want to defund Planned Parenthood. You've provided a way to do both those things simultaneously, and yet they're not congratulating you or buying you a beer?
Yeah, you would think that they would say, boy, why didn't I think of that? Let's do that right away. And, you know, another thing on this is that the Planned Parenthood proposal, if we can even get this done, is only for a single year instead of in perpetuity, which is what I prefer. But it's worth $500 million. The Planned Parenthood's government funds run about $554 million a year. And if we would just take that first $500 million out of there, apply it to the wall, and by the way, the wall is way overpriced. We can build that for $10 billion or less, and I've spent 42 years in the construction business. I'm not interested in building it myself, but we could do that. So there's a start on it. And when you look at the rest of this, another thing that caught their attention was the SNAP program, or the food stamp program, as we've long known it. And when you look at the numbers of that, it's just astonishing. When I came to Congress in 2003, there were 19 million people on food stamps. And that number elevated all the way up to 47 million. It's dialed back down to around 46 million now. And 40% of them are obese. And so we addressed the food stamp program under Lyndon Johnson starting in about 1962. We got the program in 65. And back then, 13% of our population was obese, and we were trying to solve the malnutrition problem. Well, we've absolutely solved the malnutrition problem, and now we have an obesity problem contributed to by the SNAP program.
There's some perverse and unintended consequences. So, to the wall, if there's one thing the president ran on, I watched it, it was building the wall. We're going to build the wall, a big, beautiful wall. This campaign was not run on, I don't know, cutting Medicaid. It just wasn't. So why, you're a truth teller, tell us why it hasn't happened.
The wall itself.
Yeah, why hasn't the Congress moved, separate from everything else, to fund and build the wall that their leader, the president, promised repeatedly during the campaign?
All Democrats oppose it. Yeah. The never-Trumpers who don't announce themselves oppose it. And they've been looking for other ways to try to describe it. And it's been pulled down over and over again in a lot of different ways. I keep making the argument that a wall is a wall. It's concrete in the mind's eye of the American people that voted that mandate in to support Donald Trump. It's not a balloon, it's not a drone, it's not a wire, it's not another patrol, it's not a virtual anything. It's a wall. And
that's what was promised. And you know, policy ought to flow from election results because it is a representative democracy. Do you think the speaker is for the wall?
I don't believe the Speaker is for the wall. At least he's way short of the enthusiasm that I have for the wall. But he has said to me, back at least as recently as January, that we need to give the President the resources he needs to secure the border. And when I hear that, that tells me build the wall and put the appurtenances on it that are necessary to make it effective. But I don't see that being pushed. But on top of that, though, you saw the White House ask for $1.6 billion in the upcoming 2018 budget year. And that's a start. But if they were serious about this, I think there would have been a $5 billion ask rather than a $1.6 billion.
I mean, I think the reason people on the wall anyway is because they didn't believe any of this border security stuff. And a wall is not the perfect solution, but it's a permanent step. You can't sort of pull the wall down when the administration changes.
That's right. And one other way to say it is walls don't have prosecutorial discretion.
That is another way to say it. Congressman Steve King of Iowa, it's great to see you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Tucker.